So if I were to meet you at the door and say, hey, this is broken, what's wrong with it? You know, that deer in headlights look that comes about. Trust me, you need to know some of this stuff. So I left out the INL piece, but we do want you to know about the I-21 zone, especially if we start putting this into some of the schools in Missouri or the surrounding states, and you walk in and somebody has a question, say, hey, I got this new iPad, how do I use it in my class? You can say, hey, guess what? We have somebody there that actually can help you with that. Contact your salesperson, contact whomever it would be at this point. Forget the demonstration part because
that was yesterday.
That was yesterday. Okay. In Focus is one that you might hear about. It's part of the Information Now product, so if they're not using Information Now in the schools, you may not. But it is one that our sales team is kind of pushing. It is a really interesting product. We did a demo for this in Alabama, which is why it says demo up there. I forget that. But we have this new graduate tracking system report in there that the schools are starting to use we're getting a lot of graduate coaches in Alabama where the schools will hire a graduation coach to follow specific students who are having issues. And so the report is really specific to Alabama. But it does some really incredible stuff with the student information system. RTI, now this is something you will hear about today. This is a new offering through Achievement Services. Two favorite words for every teacher and every school administrator to hear. This is an unfunded mandate. They love that. In Alabama, it was an unfunded mandate from the state. So the customers there have a lot of questions, but we're hearing a lot of this on the federal level as well. They call them different things. RTI means something different in every state. I've heard response to intervention. I've heard response to implementation, which is kind of weird. Response to instruction. There's been a lot of confusion as to it. So there'll be some more discussion about this today. Peggy Baggett, thank you, Peggy Baggett. And the only reason I forgot that was because we had a Peggy mix up in the email just last night. Peggy Baggett is our RTI specialist who's come on board, and she worked in Georgia implementing RTI in some of the school districts there in Georgia, and then came over to Alabama, was working in Monroe County and implemented their RTI there. It's kind of interesting because the state says you must do it and yet offers no real clear direction on how to do it. I know that's a shock to those of you who've worked in Missouri because that would never happen here. But so what we've done with this is we're putting together kind of a generic standard of or a process of what every school can do to get into a position where they would be compliant with RTI from whatever federal or state mandates that have actually come out. And you'll be seeing some reports being put into assessment to kind of go along with RTI in the near future. Okay, updates. For those of you that don't know, we've said it a couple of times. I may try to show this to you today. One at a time testing is now available for math only, or basically anything if there's no passage attached to it. This is fantastic for the iPad or for the little tablets because you can actually have the kid take that question. It'll be one question with the 4 or 5 answers there. They read the question, they click on the answer, and they click the little next button. It takes them right to the next one. And it has been a really good thing for some of our, it was originally designed for the K2 students, specifically second graders doing math on the computer because they couldn't really do the double pane, and most of the kids are just looking at the pictures on the screen anyway and not really doing much with it other than just looking at. So that it's designed for a teacher or a student to kind of, a teacher sit down with a student and go through it one at a time and say, and help them if they need help, or for the student to be able to just take that with an iPad or just sitting down at a computer somewhere. So I was really surprised and impressed the first time I pulled it up on a little tablet.